BowmanDigitalMedia.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Industry Interviews by Ira Bowman. I am excited today for a couple reasons. We have some firsts, Eric. You are changing the show for a couple different ways. I've never gone live with anybody in Asia before, so this is exciting for me. Also,
fantastic.
I think you have more followers, a bigger social media following than anybody I've ever interviewed on my shows. So I'm connected. Wow. I'm connected with some really large people on LinkedIn, and some of them actually have larger networks than you, but they haven't come on my show. So if you're watching and you want to break Eric's record, there's the gauntlet for y'all. But you have a bigger network than. Have you ever heard of a website called? Oh my goodness, my brain just fell out of me.
You're too excited. Hi. I'm everything.
That's too excited. All right, so we're gonna back down on that because honestly, I just had a brain freeze. Like I don't know the guy's name.
No worries.
I would be Craigslist. I'm sorry. So have you ever heard of Craigslist? Do you know what that is?
Craigslist, yes.
Yeah. So the guy who
sells stuff on there.
The guy who founded Craigslist. I'm connected with him. He's from the Bay Area. I'm connected to him. You have a bigger network than him and Katie Couric and Tim Tebow all combined. You do all by yourself. Look at you.
Asia is big, the population here is huge. And also I cover India and China. These are like two huge countries. And it's interesting. I'm going to let you on the secret later on in the show. And Ira,
we're going to tease that for sure.
It's really nice to be on your show. And we just met on Clubhouse and last week? Yeah. And now we are here doing this. You are a man of action. You put this together and you are so cool. You know exactly what you want to say. Plus, but the thing is, I don't know what you want to ask.
Well, I got lots of questions for you. Don't worry, but it's going to be fun. So if you're new to the show, I don't think Eric's had a chance to see any episodes, which is totally cool. No. Jason Ricks was actually the last guy on my show on this one. What we do on Industry Interviews by Ira, it's a special show. I don't do it on a regular basis. I save it for the special guests, C-level folks, people who have a really compelling, broad-reaching story. Those are the ones that I bring on. So if like the founder of Craigslist or Tim Tebow, of course, I will bring you guys on. Typically, it's going to be anybody like chief of marketing officers or chief executive officers, people like that. Jason he's a director of operations for a convenience store with 94 locations. It's called Buc-ee's. So I actually was on his show earlier today too. So Jason, I had a great time. He was asking me about my childhood, which Eric, you probably don't know this because we don't know each other that well yet. I was homeless for a time as a child. And so he was kind of asking me about that. So, the backstory of what made Ira, part of it is persevering some hardships. And I think when we get into your story, I'm sure some of that will resonate because I think that's one common thread I found with most people who are successful is they have been faced by a big challenge. And instead of crumbling or being succumbed by the pressure of that challenge, they've overcome it, and that has helped them throughout their life. So most of the time, the things that you really want, you got to work for it, right?
Yes.
So we'll talk about that. But that's enough about me. They want to know about you. So first, Eric, could you do us a favor? For those of you who have never heard of Eric Sim, where have you been? He's got okay. You played a little trick on me, Eric. You said, "Yeah, I have 2 million followers." Now this is when we're on Clubhouse, and you guys know me by now. I will go and look at you on LinkedIn as soon as we connect anywhere because I love LinkedIn. So I just searched Eric Sim, and I was like, 2 million. He's almost at 3 million. But you said something, and it stuck with me. It was actually probably why I wanted to bring you on the show. The very fact there's different ways to approach life. And what you said it resonates with me. It stuck with me. You said, look, everybody over exaggerates. They overestimate things. I like to do the opposite. So when people check me out, and you weren't surprised that I went and verified, but you had a great response. You're like, look, Ira, now weren't you more impressed when you heard 2 million and you found it was closer to 3? And I said, oh yeah, I because you underestimated by more than my network size. And look, almost everybody else who's watching the show, they look at my network and go, how did you get to 200,000 followers? And to your point, if I'm doing it your way, I'm not even at 200,000 personally. I'm at 191,000. Okay. Yeah. So you underestimated by 700, almost 800,000. That's 3.5 times what I've got. You know what I mean? So I was very impressed by that. And then I started to look into you, and I was like, oh my goodness, you were chosen as a top voice in China, top voice in Singapore. You are impressive any way you slice it. So I was like, this is a no-brainer. I want my audience to really get to know you. So I'm not going to be talking about me anymore. We're going to be asking you questions. So do us a favor. Can you give us a quick story, maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes, on how you got onto LinkedIn and what you were doing in the beginning before you built? Because obviously there's a story there that we'll get into in a minute, the growth story. But let's just talk about when you got on and how you got started with LinkedIn.
Sure. First of all, again, thank you. And for the listener out there, thank you for spending time. I know probably at your time in the US, it's afternoon, you're still working office hour. So really appreciate you doing that. Back to that point about, on Clubhouse, I just tell people, in fact, when I go on Clubhouse, sometimes I don't say that. I don't say that, hey, I've got 2 million followers right away, right? But sometimes when I'm asked, then I say that. And I know people will check me, because how can someone have 2 million followers, right? I'm not even based in the US, where US has got the most number of members. That's one.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, you have more followers than almost everybody. You probably have more followers than anybody watching this show, for sure. You might have more followers. You might have more followers than everybody watching the show combined. I'm just going to be
okay. Yeah, that is just a number.
Yeah, it's a number. There's no doubt.
Let me just tell you a bit about my backstory. So when I grew up, I failed my English. I've got 0 social skills. You know, I can't really relate to people. I don't know what happened then. Maybe some form of personality disorder. So I needed to overcompensate. So while I got no social life, I will take on courses. You know, there are a lot of people who collect stamps.
Yeah, I used to collect stamps as a kid.
Yes, I don't collect stamps. I collect certificate.
Okay.
In order to overcome my inferiority complex. That's my way of living. Any certificate that I can get, you know, any big brand that I can go on. So when I get a chance to work for Citi, because I know this is a big brand, right? Citi. So I say, I'll go on it. Even if you give me a pay cut, I'll go on it. And of course, they didn't give me a pay cut. They treated me very well. I worked there for 8 years, from Singapore to Shanghai to Hong Kong. And then when UBS came calling, they say, hey, can we offer you a managing director role? I say, wow, that's what everybody wanted, right? To be a managing director in an investment bank. So I say, yeah, bring me on. That's the name that I want. That is all because I've got so serious inferiority complex. I thought that this is going to compensate that a little bit. As I went on, I realized that I must have done something right because I failed my English. I got zero social skills, and now these big banks wanted me.
Yeah.
So I went to school to.
But you have an impressive resume. You have an impressive resume now. Like I just scrolled through your resume, your LinkedIn resume. You have quite a bit of experience now. But so what do you think?
But I can tell you, no matter even until today, that inferiority complex is still lingering, somewhere inside you. It's just like if you're overweight or you're underweight when you're a child, that always harm you, right? Even when you go into the adulthood.
It's a part of your mental fabric or your makeup. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's why when I say I got 2 million followers instead of like 2.7, it's also part of imposter syndrome. I mean, 2 million is already big enough. Why should I tell people 2.7 or 2.8? So I want to play down a little bit because I may not be able to cope. So I was teaching in a university. I was an adjunct associate professor at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. I'm now teaching for Queen's University in Canada and also in Beijing.
Do you do that only online for the Canada, or do you actually come out to Canada?
I don't go to Canada. I teach in the Beijing office. They have a joint program with a Chinese university called Renmin University. So I fly there like over 4 Sundays when I was based in Hong Kong. I'll fly there to teach for a full day, then I fly back to Hong Kong, and I do that 4 times to cover 1 course.
How far is that? How far is that for you? So to go to Hong Kong, how long does that take you?
No, I was based in Hong Kong. Now I'm based in Singapore. When I was teaching just 2 years ago, now I do webinar for Beijing because I couldn't travel. From Hong Kong to Beijing is like 3 hours. So I'll fly on a Friday night, teach the whole of Saturday, then Saturday night I'm out.
Come back.
That's what I do. If I fly from Singapore, it takes 7 hours. So I'll fly on a Friday, teach the whole of Saturday, then take a red eye back to Singapore after my class. As I teach more and more, I've got so many students asking me, hey, Eric, you have done the biggest name, Citi, you have done UBS, and they didn't know I got inferiority complex, but they thought that this is a career path they wanted to take. So many students start asking me questions, and I find that I got no time to do one-on-one. So I decided that, hey, I go on LinkedIn, I'll write my thoughts. You guys, you can read that first as the base, and any further question we can discuss in class, or you can ask me one-to-one. So then I started doing that. There is a lot of traction.
I'm sorry, it was for those questions that you were just referring to, were those all just from your college age students? So 18 to 25-ish age,
yes.
Is that right?
No, they are master students. So they have already done their undergrad. Yeah. So now they are into their graduate studies, like masters in finance, MBA students who are still not so sure, because when they do their masters, usually they want to pivot to a new industry or they want to get into investment banking.
We have a question from one of my good friends here. Her name's Mariella. She's Greek, but she lives in California, so she's a lot of fun. But
hey, Mariella,
she can relate. I think a lot of us can actually. There's a lot of introverts on social media that are actually more comfortable behind the keyboard than they are in front of the video camera. So her question, and this is certainly one I was going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you now. What was it? Was there an event in your life, or was there something what was the precipice for getting over this fear? Certainly you probably, like you were alluding to it, you still have some of it. It's part of your makeup, but what is it that helped you to break out of your shell? Is that an expression in America? That makes sense.
Two things. One, there was an incident that happened when I was young, and that was my main motivator.
Okay.
So my parents, they never go to school. You know, we speak a Chinese dialect at home, and we are very kind of in a very small world, right? My father sells street food, right?
Okay.
And when I was young, I was picky with my food, and my mother wants to encourage me to eat potato. It's not a Chinese food, but potato, I think, is right. So you know, we were poor, and then just stuff me with potato. But I didn't want that. She told me that, hey, you know, potato, the Western kids at that time, Westerners are very new to me. It's something foreign. I've never been overseas.
Sure.
Neither did my parents gone overseas at that time. So he said, oh, do you know they carve it into animals, into rabbits, and into frogs, dogs, and before they eat, in order to encourage, telling me this. I said, okay. Then I start carving, playing with my food, and I started eating. Then I went to school. I start telling my friends, hey, you know, the Western kids, the way they eat potato, you know, they carve it into animals. Then they laugh at me. So one boy told the whole class, hey, Boon Chai, that was my Chinese name. I wasn't called Eric then. So, hey, Boon Chai down here said that the Western kids eat potato by carving them into animals. So the entire class laughed. Then I knew at that point, my mother lied to me. That means at that point, my whole world broke down, because who can I trust? I cannot trust my parents.
Yeah.
Can I trust a school teacher? You know, and I wasn't doing so well. So that is something that pushes me. And how I overcome my fear is I try to break down my steps into very, very small steps. I got the fear of public speaking. So how do I overcome? I can't even speak in front of like 10 people, make like 5 minutes presentation. So when I was in university, so I asked a choreographer. He's like 2 years my senior. So we were staying in what we call the hostel or like college, you know, the dormitory.
Dorms, yeah.
So I said, Peter, can I join your dance group?
Oh.
Peter said, hey, Eric, you're from engineering, right? I haven't heard engineering students can dance. I say, I don't, but I'll be happy to stand behind your dancer, your female dancer. Eric, would you carry an umbrella? I said, Peter, I'll carry anything you want me to carry, Peter. All right, come on next month, we'll put it up, but no dancing, just carrying umbrella. All right, so I went on stage. I was still nervous. So all the lights shining at me. I opened the umbrella, you know, twice. And that's how I overcome my fear, because I couldn't speak. But then in order to do something, I need to stand on the stage. I need to experience all the lights, the big audience out there. And that is not enough, because that overcome a little bit. Every time, you know, when I was in banking, there are a lot of conferences. So every time I attend a big conferences, at the end, when the audience were leaving, I went to the stage pretending to find the clicker for the speaker. You know, I'm just a nobody. I was just roaming about and try to see, hey, who try to imagine if I were the speaker, how it feels like. I've done like 10 times of that, then I managed to overcome my fear. So every fear that I have is usually taking a tiny steps.
See, I like that. And you hear this expression, how do you eat an elephant? Which sounds ridiculous, although maybe not as ridiculous to you. But you eat it one bite at a time. I love it. You got on stage. First of all, that shows courage. So where you might be timid, you're not a coward. And I like that. I like that a lot.
Thank you, Malera. Thank you.
Yeah, she is awesome. You would like her a lot. And you are growing on me by the minute. I love what you're sharing. So I have to ask you a follow-up question to the potato story.
Sure.
When you were carving the potato into the animals, Were you any good at it? I mean, could you make it look like a real animal?
No. So that is my motivation to continue eating, right? If I want to carve one, then I need to eat more potato. So my mother's quick work until I was made fun of in school.
So I've heard of carving soap. There are people who actually, they call it soap whittling, but same idea. I've never heard anybody carving a potato, but I was like, you know what, if you could make it look like an animal, that's some mad skills right there. But I have to be completely transparent with you. I cannot dance to save my life. So you and me, we should do a dance together because it'll be awful. And well, anyway.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
I'll carry an umbrella, right? Okay, yeah. So you got past your fear, even though you didn't completely conquer it, because let's say that battle is probably one that will be with you your whole life, but it is something that you've learned to subdue anyways, right? So that you can do shows like this, because this show will be seen by thousands of people by itself. So I probably shouldn't have told you that till after, I guess. But anyways, there it is. For those who are watching, who are gripped in, again, that's a word that we use, I don't know if that makes sense, but frozen by fear. They want to do something really badly, public speaking or whatever else, and they are struggling to find the courage to do it. I hope that they would take your advice and find something small, just a small step that they can implement. I think that if people don't take anything but that from this interview, that's powerful truth and could be life changing. So thank you for sharing that. Now, after you, to get back to your story, so after you started to come out of your shell, and that was in college, right? Because you were what, a junior or senior or something like that in college, because you said you were a couple years behind the guy in the dorm there. So you're an engineer at that point? You're going to college for...
I was studying mechanical engineering in the National University of Singapore.
Okay, so how did you go from that engineering, shy engineer, to banking? What was the precipice, or what made you make the leap from engineer?
So initially when I graduated, I wanted to travel, because I didn't have money to travel, unlike my friends. So I said, what job can I do to travel and to be paid? And in Singapore, there's an airline called the Singapore Airlines. It's pretty big in Asia.
Okay.
So they advertised for cabin crew. So I went to the hotel, I interviewed for that job. They give me a passage to read. So I read, they checked my height. I don't have serious scar. I'm tall enough to put luggages in the cabin. Then they say, okay, come for second round. So I went to the training center near Changi. So they let us play games. So I played some games, and they call out 2 names out of every 10. So I'm on the third group. So after we played some games, we came out. They say the first name called was not me. Second name called, Eric said, okay. So I passed. Then we went for swimming test, because as a cabin crew, you need to be able to swim at least 50 meters to help yourself and help the passenger in case of emergency landing on the sea.
Makes sense.
I passed that as well. So over. So I said, fantastic. I nailed it this time. Then we were drinking tea with the interviewer, casual. Everybody wash up, change, hey, relax, guys, you pass. Then one question the interviewer asked me, or asked the maybe 10, 20 of us who were drinking tea. Do you think food is more important or service more important? Without missing a beat, I raise my hand. I say, food is more important. Thank you very much. You may go home now. That's what the interviewer said to me. Yeah, of course, Singapore Airlines is famous for its service. So how can I say food? So I didn't get that job. I went to apply for a job in a bank called DBS Bank in Singapore. It's a local bank, very small at that time. And I got a banking job and started my banking career.
So if you had said service, like that was the right answer, by the way. If you had said service, you might still be working for the airlines. You might have never got into banking.
That is one possibility, but very likely I'll be fired within 6 months because, I'm the kind of service that I give is going to be the Chinese restaurant in your Chinatown.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that you're very smart, and I think that you're very humble, which I appreciate. But I think you're very smart, and I think you would have figured it out pretty quickly. So I'm glad that it all worked out the way that it does. I think that you fit the banking world better than.
I don't know then. For me, it's a job that I got in. I was very fortunate to be one of the first engineer. Because normally they hire accountants or finance major or business major.
Right.
I just told them that, hey, if you hire me, I can use my programming language, programming knowledge to help you automate your processes.
You have skills.
I do my banking job. I will do something extra for you for free. Yeah. You don't have to pay me anything extra. I'll use my own time. I'll go back to school to use the computer. At that time, I think my computer at home wasn't that good yet.
Yeah.
And they hired me for that. And when I came on board, on top of my banking job, I automated some processes. The bosses were quite happy. Sure. But I failed because of my social skills. So I didn't do well after 2-3 years. Yeah.
Well, it's worked out because as I look at your LinkedIn career, I mean, you went from one huge company at Citi to another at UBS. I mean, you didn't skip a beat, and then you got into your adjunct teaching. So you're a professor too. I mean, you've done a lot of impressive stuff. I don't think you have anything to be embarrassed about at all. We all have those challenges, right? But those challenges are learning opportunities. So
yes,
you're if you had to summarize, if someone said, okay, what is the biggest challenge that you faced in your career, and it could be at any point, the beginning, it could be, it doesn't have to be with banking, it could be anywhere along the journey. What do you think the biggest challenge is that you faced? And then we'll talk about how you handled it.
So when I was with Citi at that time, I was with Citi Hong Kong doing investment banking work. One of my client, a corporate client, a China real estate company in the southern part of China, wanted to issue US dollar bond for about 100 million US, which is a very small amount by the bond market standard, normally 300 to 500 million. But this is a very small client, so we say, okay, we'll help you with that. And the interest rate was very high, it was like 12.5%. So I came up with a solution to say, hey, why don't we do some foreign exchange hedging to hedge out your renminbi risk? I can lower the interest to like 9% for you. So they agreed, they took my advice, they did that, they saved some interest, but they gave up the potential gain from the renminbi. Renminbi at that time was appreciating very fast.
It doesn't seem like a small number to me, Eric. It seems like a big number. We're struggling.
Yeah, but in the banking world, because this is not like money in my pocket, right? Money in my pocket, then, but this is helping a client, a huge client issuing.
Yeah. So you're working for Citibank. 100 million is not that big a deal, right? I get it.
Yes. I'm not talking about Eric Sim's level. I'm talking about for Citi, right? Such a global,
you and I would gladly we take half of the 100 million. We'd split it, and we'd still be happy, right?
Give me 1%, I'll still be happy, right?
Yeah.
So this client trusted me and took my suggestion to hedge. But then the RMB keep appreciating. When the RMB appreciate, my solution created a loss for the client.
So so you had a good solution, but then the market changed, and it ended up
the market changed, and after about a year, out of 100 million that they put in, their loss was like 30 million, and that is huge, right?
Yeah.
Just doing simple foreign exchange trade, your loss is like 30 million. So they came to me to say, Eric, we trusted you. We took your solution. You betray us.
Yeah.
So that was the low point of my career because I wanted to help the client. I wanted to help them hedge. So I explained to the client, it's not a real loss because you know your RMB asset, your RMB revenue, because you are a Chinese company, you are making money in RMB appreciating. You should be happy, but of course you make a bit of loss here. When you put them together, you are still okay. Of course, the client is not happy. Say we shouldn't have listened to you, then we wouldn't be making this loss. But the part that got me is being accused of cheating my client because I really wanted to help the client. Yeah. Fortunately, the financial crisis hit. So the the financial crisis in 2007, the Lehman crisis, that hit. A lot of people got into trouble. The RMB depreciated from appreciating to reverse direction, become depreciating. And now the loss from 30 reduced to 20, reduced to 10. And I brought the client to my favorite restaurant, a very simple one. Because in banking, if you bring them to a big restaurant, sometimes they think that you want to make a lot of money from them.
Right.
So I go bring them to a comfortable local restaurant.
There's a lesson there for all you listening. There's a lesson right there too. Don't show up in a brand new Mercedes in a $5,000 suit for a sales call.
So as we were discussing, the solution that I provided became a gain, from a loss to a gain of a couple of $1 million.
It's perspective, right? And people, I don't understand this. This is something that we learn in marketing. You know, opportunity costs in business college. You learn about opportunity costs all the time. Clients don't always get it. So it's our job to explain it, which you did, obviously, but then they saw it too, because diversification of risk, mitigating risk, there is always advantages and disadvantages, but none of us have a crystal ball. You know, we create solutions based on what we know. The X factor, the unknown wild cards, you know, you play the odds, but you do.
Yeah. So let me just finish the story.
Yeah,
so
for
at
sure.
the end, the client started making money. So we decided to terminate the trade. So then we wrote a check of like $5 million to the client. The client was happy. This $5 million saved them because during the financial crisis, they couldn't sell any property. $5 million US turned the company from a loss to a profit. Not my deal, just the business, just selling properties. They couldn't sell. And that point on, they became very grateful. In fact, till today, the chairman of the company no longer run that business, but still call me, you know, once a year or once every 2 years. Hey, say, let's catch up whenever you are in Shenzhen in China. Please come and visit. Then he will introduce his family, his son, his daughter-in-law to me. So that was a low point, but turned out to be good for me.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. I mean, there's a total lot there, because you rode a tidal wave. You were accused of being incompetent, and even worse, being deceitful, and you could have blown up. I think a lot of people probably would have. Well, in America we get hot-headed, so it's like come to fisticuffs. You know what I mean? You want to punch somebody sometimes when they start accusing you of that stuff. So you have a lot. You have a lot of testament to your character through how you handled that situation. Can I ask you this?
Sure.
How long, the duration of time between the proposed solution when they said, okay, Eric, we're going to implement your solution, to the time where it started to lose money, and then the whole way through from start to they cashed out? Do you remember about how much time all that
was? From inception of the trade that they say, yeah, let's do it, let's enter into this trade, to the time that they say, okay, we'll listen to you one more time, let's terminate, 1 whole year. So the first few, so the entire 1 year, the moment they enter, right, there were already small losses, and then after that accumulate to big one. Then the last 1 month was quite fun because then you start turning around and start making money. And of course, the client's attitude towards me change the moment they see that I'm still right. I help them. Because I say that RMB can one day depreciate. Now it's appreciating. That's the time you go, right? Like Warren Buffett, don't buy when everybody is buying. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Short sell when you can. Was that 2008 then? So it started in 2007 and then it ended up in 2008.
Then I got out of the trade. Yeah. 2007 and 2007 I entered the trade. Then after that Lehman crisis hit, and 2008, end of 2008, that's when the entire world got crazy. The currency, Asian currency, just weakened by a huge amount.
So we have all kinds of people who watch this show. We have people, we have students, and I know because you're a professor that you can relate to students pretty well. So I would ask this: can you give some advice to those college-age kids that are in school right now that are trying to figure out what should I do to position myself to be successful as soon as college is done? For example, one of the things that I typically recommend that people do is try to find an internship or to find an opportunity to gain employment experience while they're finishing their degree, because I find that it really takes 3 things to be successful when you graduate. You need to have the degree, of course, you need to have some experience, and then also who you know. The networking part helps too, right? So there's 3 legs to the stool. So with that, I wonder if you could proffer some advice as well that my audience might glean from and get an advantage for watching this.
Thanks for asking. For the students, welcome. I have a suggestion. I think it's also applicable to young professional, because the world is changing, and a lot of time we thought, okay, if we learn one skill, we are going to be set for life. The truth is that's not the case. So I always tell people, my followers, a lot of them young professionals, students as well, position yourself to be a combo specialist. Not generalist, not a specialist where you know one skill, but be a combo specialist. Just like in America, I'm sure there are a lot of McDonald's, and then you eat McDonald's meals, and you will be familiar with the combo meal. So the burger is your core skills. So when I was an engineering student trying to go into finance, engineering, my burger is my engineering skills. I'm learning finance, in the first 3 months. Not very good, but learning. So that's my French fries. My programming skill is my interest. I'm not paid to program, I'm not paid to automate, but it's the thing that attracts my bosses, because I'm surrounded with business students. So my Coke is the one that sweetened the deal.
Yeah, and helps to wash it all down.
Yes. Then I progress about into my 2nd or 3rd year. My burger is now financial engineering. So I combine finance and engineering together. So I go to a specific part of finance, which is more quantitative, more complex pricing, structured products. Of course, some of them gone toxic. Then you have the 2007, 2008 Lehman crisis, where nobody understand, what the heck was happening. Very complex product. Then I move. My fries is selling skills. I told you that I didn't have any social skills, so I need to develop that. So selling skills for a lot of people, it comes naturally. For me, I will go and read up books. I will learn the 7 steps of selling. And then my Coke is China. I develop an interest in China. and that helps me as well. So my thinking is always have these three things: a core, and a secondary, and an interest. As you progress every few years, right, try to combine them. So I combine China into my work. I moved to Shanghai because I start being better in Mandarin, start writing in Mandarin. I just wasn't good in English and Mandarin, very, very weak. I'm more a numbers person.
So are you better at English or Mandarin now? Because your English
now, is I don't know whether which one is better. I think they are about the same. Yeah.
So you
but then when I write in on LinkedIn, I write in English. I use Google Translate or Baidu Translate. Then I translate and I edit from there. But then sometimes if I work with LinkedIn China, if they say, hey, Eric, can you help us write a Chinese article? Then I will write in Chinese first, use Google Translate into English, then edit from there. When you, depending on which language you start first, the way it turns out can be very different because some of these local terms you will not use in the translation.
Right. The colloquialisms, no doubt. So I'm going to ask you because I have tried Google Translate. Now I mostly speak in English, though I do speak Spanish as well. So that's my second language. And although some people would tell you sarcasm is really my first language and the rest are second to third. But when I write in English and I go and do Google Translate to Spanish, for me, it doesn't work very well. I wonder if when you use to start in the Chinese and translate to the English.
No, it gives me the base to start.
Yeah. So you start
your command of the language must be good enough to do the editing because the sentence will turn out weird and also it's missing out. It's very what we'll say woody. It's not flexible. There is no nuance in there. It's very technically translated. So you don't get that emotional attachment or you don't create emotion in your followers. So I need to add that.
So obviously you're doing training, you're doing your teacher work, your professor work. You're doing, you said in Hong Kong and Canada, right? But you're from and you live in Singapore. So when you're doing the lessons, when you're teaching, are you doing that in Mandarin or are you doing that in English?
Depending on the school, I just take away my burger first, making me hungry. Is 8:44
I was wondering if you brought enough for both of us to have some, but
obviously not.
No.
If I teach in Singapore, it will be in English. In Hong Kong, it will be in English. If I teach in China, Beijing University and Tsinghua University, then very likely those are in Mandarin.
Yeah. Any other languages that you would teach in?
I sometimes teach in Cantonese, but it's not so much of teaching. Less like a talk to Hong Kong businessmen. So that I do that in Cantonese. Yeah.
I want to transition a little bit. So let's do this. How did you go from the banking career over to the professor, teaching at these colleges and universities? What was the precipice?
Yeah. So about 15, 16 years ago, I wanted to teach, but I'm not qualified to teach, right? Because I don't have a PhD. So how can I teach in the university? How can I be known? Then back to what I was saying, as what is the smallest step I can do? So I went to City HR. I told the HR officer, whom I know quite well, I say that anytime you go for campus recruitment in the local university or overseas, doesn't matter.
Can
you bring me along? I was a vice president then. Vice president is like a mid-rank, 10 years of working, mid-rank title in City. A month later, he said, hey, Eric, we are going to NTU, Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Would you like to come? So I was like, okay, I'll go. So I wasn't teaching, I'm just sharing my day job as a derivative solution, structural, and sales. The professor over there liked it, invited me to come back to do a proper sharing of my work. Instead of just trying to recruit, now I'll bring my work, my term sheet, the structure that I was selling, the foreign exchange, the interest rate, to teach the financial engineering students. So that was like a 1 hour talk. He liked it again. He said, can you come back, do a 3 hour lecture, this time proper to the EMBA class. So with that experience, when I moved to Shanghai, I started teaching in the various universities. Then when I moved to Hong Kong, my friends recommended, because my friend was a PhD she was a PhD, but she was my colleague in City. Her friends are mostly PhD, and they are professors, so they are looking for a practitioner like me to teach.
Yeah,
who have interest and who can teach.
That's interesting. We have something similar there. I've been teaching a course for Alibaba on digital. It's a deep dive into digital marketing, and basically what I'm teaching in this course, it's a 1 hour course. I teach people where website traffic comes from. And I've been thinking about it. So I asked this question because this is something that I'm thinking about myself. Like you, I'm not a PhD. So, I don't know if that could turn into something more, but I really do enjoy teaching that course. So it might be something I pick your brain on later.
What I can do for you is when I teach, I can bring you to my lecture. I just did one for Yale NUS. Yale from the US have a joint college in Singapore together with the National University of Singapore. It's a liberal arts. So I went there to teach just last week. Things like that, or in Canada or in Beijing. If I can just bring you in for 5 minutes over Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Let the student get to know you. Let the professor or the admin get to know you. And you can talk about it on LinkedIn, right? Even if you speak for 5 minutes, hey, speaking for 5 minutes in Yale or Oxford, which I did because I also do Oxford and Chicago University. If you just come 5 minutes, you take a screenshot of that Zoom meeting, boom, you're associated with university. Then once you post it on LinkedIn, then your friends will say, hey, can you come and share? May not be Oxford or Chicago, but just go, right? I started from like lower name. I started teaching for free for a couple of years, and you build. But it's the initial step for people to link you to a university. Then your circuit will start.
I'm glad that you said all this, and for any of you looking to break into that like I am, this is very helpful, and I'm glad I'm on the right track, because that Alibaba course that I taught, it was really cool. They still show it, they advertise it on their site, and so I have a link that I share, and it's like a 5-minute teaser of what I teach in the class, which is pretty cool. So that's next on the horizon for me. I'd like to be an adjunct professor in social media because it's what I'm passionate about. So that's my French fries right now, right? I think.
Yes, you learn fast.
I try. Okay, so I know most people are watching this because they are super curious, and really they want some nuggets, actionable items if they can. Eric, we don't have 2 million, right? You're at 2.8 million. I'm just going to say it the way I say it. You say 2 million plus, I say 2.8 million followers. And that's just on LinkedIn. I mean, sure, you have followers on other platforms too. So if somebody's watching and they're just getting started, I think you've already shared a lot of things that people, if they're really trying to figure you out, can start to get an idea. You are very intelligent. There's no doubt about it. You're not afraid. You're not afraid to pursue your passions. So you're always. I love the combo meal. I love that analogy because you're always. You said make sure every 3 years or so you're updating it. So you combine the fries and the burger, and then you replace that, right? So you pull the soda forward to the fries, and now you're getting. So you've already given people some ideas here. if they were paying attention. But
Yes.
let's break it down, because I find, unfortunately, a lot of times people miss it unless you just spell it out 100%. So let's just break this down. For those who they're on here or they're going to watch this later, they don't have a following maybe at all, but they want a following. That's their number one thing. Like if you ask them, what do I want? Well, I just want 1 million followers. Well, the first thing I usually say is, why do you want 1 million followers? It's just an arbitrary number. Like you said earlier, there's no reason why it can't be 705 million, because that's how many people are on LinkedIn right now, right? So that's we're even at 2.8 million, you still have lots of room for more, right? Like we just need to get you in front of more people. So for anybody who's watching, it's a long-winded question, I apologize, but I'm going to make it simple here. Maybe 3 things just to keep the thirds theme going. Just ideas, 3 quick hitters. Do this, stay consistent with that, and then do this, stay consistent with that, and then do the final thing. And if you stay consistent with these 3 things, it should help you grow your profile visibility. Because that's what I like. The followers to me are visibility. It's not about a certain number. I'm just trying to increase how many people in the world know about me, right? So what advice could you offer for people like that? I guess that's my question.
For people who are out there you want to get more engagement, or you want to get followers, I would say, number one, the thing about content, like what to write about. This is what I get asked a lot. I write about personal stories with universal application. If you go to my LinkedIn now, you search for Eric Sim,
we're right here.
The first article. Yeah. If you can go to the activities. And go to posts.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Post as well. This is the one.
Yeah. So let me.
If you can click inside there. Yeah. So let me tell you this. My newsletter just got picked up by LinkedIn New York editor to be featured under top picks just 3-4 days ago. So I put down 5 personal stories with universal application in this article.
I just shared the link.
You will be able to just glance through what are the 5. I talk about the personal stories of people around me. If you just scroll down a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. The 4 P's
to
be successful.
The 4 P's to be successful. I just give you a quick story about that. During the lockdown, I passed by a store, a food store. So I asked the food store owner, hey, do you do delivery? He said, yes. What's your signature dish? He says, fish head curry. So I don't eat fish head. I don't eat spicy food, but I still ordered. He delivered to me personally in 30 minutes, and he put down a letter. He included a letter to thank me in person. Mr. Eric, thank you for your business. We needed this during this lockdown. I wrote about that, and it was very well received. And I say that, no, this is another person. So I've got 5 people that I featured down here in this full article. This is another person. So he was appreciative. I wrote about it. But then you see, besides writing a story about a person, I say that, do you have the 4 P's? Because I'm a career coach. When I look at people, automatically I use the 4 P. Do you take pride in your work? Do you have great products? Or do you have good product knowledge if you are a banker? Do you keep your promise? Do you keep your promise to deliver good service and product over a long period of time? Not just the first deal, but over years. Do you have passion to go the extra miles for your customer? So a personal story with a universal application, bang, that's the formula. So if you can look at my, if you look at my articles, this is what gets people, because Personal story is unique to you. It could be your own personal story. It could be your tailor, could be the cleaner, could be the school teacher. Everybody has a story, but nobody gives them a voice. Everybody wants to give voice to people with 2 million followers. But how about the people without any followers? They too have a story. So it is my job to bring out the voice. And of course, I can do that only with the people that I know personally. So that is tip number 1, personal stories with universal application. Tip number 2 is if you can review a little bit of your failure or weakness in the past, not now. You know, if you are dealing with something that's happening in the family, don't say that, you know, just recover from that. Some people tend to post something that is current. When my father passed away 3 years ago, I didn't mention that. I know that if I mention that, my followers will pour in their condolences to me. You know, that will get millions of views. I didn't want that because they have their own problem, right? If everybody start posting, then every day we are going to see whose father died, whose cat died, whose dog died.
Right.
No, I don't want to give. I know it works, but I don't want to post something like that. So what I still continue posting. So if you look at just now my article, Ira, if you can show my article again.
Yep.
The same article, but at the top.
Yep.
If you just go back there, if you can scroll to the top. Yeah, this is yeah. Okay, the report card. This is the report card when I was age 14. Can you scroll up a little bit?
Yep.
It's a tiny bit. No. Sorry, down. Scroll down a tiny bit. Sorry. I want to see the report card. Yeah. Okay. No. I want to see the red marks. Yeah. Can you? Yeah. So I was age 14. Yes. Here. Okay. You can look at this. This is my school report card when I was age 14. If you can look at the English language, I failed my final term. I still passed at 50. I got 51 out of 100. But look at my literature, 28 out of 100. I just couldn't understand Shakespeare. I mean, it's so long ago. Why do we bother studying Shakespeare, right?
You're not alone in that, by the way.
So I couldn't understand. I don't know why my teacher want me to do that. And I got 28 out of 100. So I want to share this for my followers. Number 1, to tell them it's okay if you don't do well in your past.
Yeah.
If you fail your English, you can still write for 2 million followers. If you fail your mathematics, you can still become an engineer. If you're not good in public speaking, you can still give TEDx talk, which I did twice. So share that, but share scar, not wound. Scar is something that you have already recovered. Ira, I think you heard of that. Scar versus wound. Wound is you just injured. If you share that, yes, you get a lot of engagement. People will sympathize with you. But they have their own problems, so don't share scar. Right? Yeah. Take your time to recover. So don't share wound. Share your scar after you fully recover.
Yeah. Right? It's the battle. It's the proof that you've been through the battle, but you've recovered, you've healed, and you've
so endured. When you heal, your followers are happy together with you.
Right. And there's lessons learned. Now
there's lessons learned.
Yeah, you're talking about the lessons learned. I mean, this is great strategy. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, let's say today, if my marriage has got some problem, I say, oh, sorry, we are going through some hard times in my relationship. What do you want people to do? What do you want your followers to do? They have their own problem with their lives. Right. And number 3 thing that I do is consistency. So I've been writing for 6 years. I post every Tuesday morning and Thursday. My father passed away. I still post. So my followers didn't know. So of course, in life, there's up and down. If you see my social media, of course, you see more positive things. But of course, when I got a small cut on my eye, when I need to send my son to the hospital because he injured his leg, I don't post that. but I continue with my Tuesday and Thursday morning. It's set in my calendar, is ingrained in me. So on Monday evening, I start thinking. Then Tuesday morning, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I write for about 2 hours, including the translation. Then I will publish at 7:30 in the morning. So for people who 7:30 in the morning, my Asian followers on their way to work, they can capture that. For Australia, it's about to go to lunchtime, so they can read that slightly after. And for London, just before they sleep. And of course, for Ira, your time zone is like my morning now, so it's about this time that you get to read. Your afternoon.
It's the end of my day. That's right.
Yes. And also for New York, is they're probably on the metro or already like having dinner. If they are waiting for their meal, they're scrolling LinkedIn, they can just read. My posts are usually very short because I put Chinese and English in one post. So mine is, I only can take up half.
And we're character limited, as everybody knows, right? So you got 1,300 characters, you got to make them count. What do you think about hashtags and smart tags? Do you use those at all?
I use some, not a lot. Yeah. But for me, it's always about career. So hashtag is not something like you put, then suddenly there's a jump. No, I just put it since LinkedIn, because LinkedIn advised me, you can use some hashtag. I work a lot with the LinkedIn staff. So we'll do events together. I'm invited. And for LinkedIn China, the funny thing is, every time I walk in to the LinkedIn office in Beijing, people know me. I don't know them because I go there maybe once or twice a year. Then every time I get introduced to new people from people that I know, they say, "Oh, Eric, you are our like top influencer." But I don't like to be called influencer because my job is not to influence. I like to be called a key opinion leader. I voice out my opinion. If it fits you, you can take it. If it doesn't fit you, it's okay. There's always another article, another point.
I agree.
So in Asia, I like to be called KOL, which is what LinkedIn China use when they introduce me to their audience.
Because there's a saying in Mandarin, "There's no honest businessman." I think that was a little sarcasm there.
Yeah.
So, how are you for time?
Of course, you have to balance your own values, right? How honest you want to be. For me, I always think for the long run. If I'm not honest, I may be able to make more money in the short run. But things catches up with social media. If you do one small little thing bad, you got a small bad reputation, it can spread. And don't underestimate something small. These days, things can just explode with the change. You see, in the past, when we don't have social media, say in the 1970s, small action doesn't matter. It doesn't. But these days, small action is buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
You go to Clubhouse today, you spend like 1 week. Suddenly, you occupy the space that you wanted to. Could be talking about optimization, could be talking about tracking social media traffic, where because it's so new and you are the one with authority.
Yep.
So this thing about that is just rolling, right? This social media is that the lottery, they are rolling the balls constantly. Every day there is a lottery going on. If you want to be in the game, buy that lottery ticket, and lottery ticket costs you very little. And that little is, okay, I follow some people that inspire me. Could be Eric Sim, could be somebody else. Let me go and listen to him on Clubhouse or find some other people and host a room.
Yeah.
Or write an article on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has been a great pleasure to interview you and really to get to know you. I think that I'm introducing you to probably a whole new set of people, which I hope everybody watching will follow you. I've shared your link here a couple times now in the comments, but I also, for those of you who don't know, I take these episodes and I house them permanently on my website, bowmandigitalmedia.com. there's a tab called Marketing Mondays. But I also, if you're interested in reading the full transcription, because you want to get some of these pearls of wisdom, Eric has laid out quite a few of them, and I've tried to summarize some of them in the comments, but I'll actually have the full transcript available on in blog format. I use a service that translates the audio to written. It does it in English. I still have to go and fix it because just like when you convert from Mandarin to English, it's not great.
And I don't speak perfect English, so may
yeah,
not be able to.
I you know what? In full, don't feel bad. I stutter and I mumble, and so the translation it's never right. But I will put all the links to your website, to your LinkedIn profile. So if people want to find you, it's IOL.life. So I as in Ira, O as in Oscar, L as in Larry, and then the period, and then the word life. That's that's your website. Now, I also want to encourage people to connect to, well, it's a follow, but follow you here on LinkedIn. And then if you want to really get to know Eric even more, I met him on Clubhouse. So this is this is a strategy. And if you were listening, Eric actually just suggested that that's one of the places that you would go, because why? It's an emerging trend. It's very easy to grow if you can figure out where people are going and get there before the masses. And that's where Clubhouse.
Right. I got an idea. I don't know whether you're free, maybe too early for you, but for those people who are on, maybe New York time zone. So tomorrow I'm thinking of doing my time 9:30 p.m. in Singapore, which will be New York 8:30 a.m. Then of course your time will be, is it 5:30? It's like 16 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
Yeah, it'll be too early. But then if you do wake up, by 6:30, just come on in. And yeah, if you do see me on Clubhouse, just say, hey, raise your hand and just introduce yourself that you have heard me on LinkedIn Live.
Yeah.
And I hope to share more tips tomorrow. Tomorrow I will give you more of the technical tips, how to really beef up your LinkedIn.
Well, and you have a great blog. So for those of you who have never been to Eric's website, if you go there, he's got a lot of good articles there. So I'm a fan. And of everything I heard before I knew you and through this interview has only cemented my appreciation and respect for Eric Sim. You are an amazing talent. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show. It was fortuitous, to say the least, that we met on Clubhouse. And look, for those of you watching, I'm just going to give you a prime example. Eric is maxed out on LinkedIn. I'm maxed out on LinkedIn. We have large networks. He has a much larger network than I do. But, the point is, you can make real connections on Clubhouse. And then once you're connected with somebody, it almost doesn't matter where you connect. You connect with them, you engage with them. And then I just asked Eric point blank, hey, I know that you had 30,000. I'm at 30,000, but would you make a spot for me? Because I really want to keep connected with you. And that's where even when I said, hey, I have the show, I'd love to even have you on the show. So find people where they are and then treat them like a human being. Don't treat them like Eric said it too. He doesn't like being called an influencer. I hate that when people call me an influencer. I don't mind if I influence you positively. I'm trying to, but that's not my title. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a human being and I like to help people. Eric is a human being. He likes to help people. We both have experiences that might help you. And then again, you might have some experiences that we can draw from and help us too. So Eric, I thank you again for coming on the show. Again, if you guys want to follow him, you find him on LinkedIn, find him on Clubhouse, find him on his website at iol.life. And Eric, final words?
Yeah. For those who want to follow me on Clubhouse, because I got much fewer followers. So if you follow me, I can pay attention more. My username is Institute of Life, one word. You will be able to find me. And you will see the same photo on Clubhouse as well as on LinkedIn, on Instagram. So that's the way I help people to remember. So if you can see my photo on LinkedIn, then you can assume that it's the same across any social media that you are more frequently using. You can add me on that as well. Ira, it's really a pleasure. You draw out the best in me. You always make me look like a superstar. I really appreciate that. I hope that I can come back on the show. Yeah. If not, we do a Clubhouse event together.
I think you and I should co-moderate a room. That would be a lot of fun. Now, can you double check this? I think I got it right here. Institute of Life. That it's the @ symbol and then Institute of Life. That's where you can find them. Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. So use that @ symbol and then put that in, and it comes right up. If you are trying to find them for whatever reason you can't, send me a message. I'll get you to them. Eric, thank you so much. Have a great day. We're gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna go grab some dinner, brother. That the French fries, they're calling my name.
Let me get mine as well for my breakfast.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you again. And for those listeners out there, I really appreciate your time today, this morning or this afternoon. I will be very happy to answer your question if you have. Whichever social media channel you can find me, just let me know that you have attended, you have listened on to this LinkedIn Live with Ira.
Yeah. Thank you all very much, Eric. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see y'all next time on Industry Interviews by Ira. BowmanDigitalMedia.com.